What is the scariest paranormal event you witnessed? There was this one time I had a couple of friends over. It was towards the end of summer, beginning of fall. School was starting shortly, we were going into 6th grade. We were gonna sleep in a tent in the yard. A little backstory, my parents bought the house next to us and tore it down, so we had a pretty nice sized yard. We also inherited a light pole with the street light pointing in towards the yard, rather than the street, with the property. So, anyway, we were goofing around as young men do all day, and at night, we are in the tent still messing around. Then we see a shadow. I said, it's probably someone walking down the street because the light points in. But the shadow was getting closer. Then I thought, hey, it's my dad coming out here to try and scare us. Then we realized there was no sound from steps. Like, we would hear my dad walking, stepping on leaves and things like that. My dad is a lot of things, but discreet is not one of them. As the shadow got to the tent, we were freaking the heck out. Then, the shadow started to walk around the tent, then became 3 shadows. They were just silently walking around the tent. Scared out of our minds, I screamed, "Who's out there?" The shadows stopped. There was no response, but we could still see the shadows. I grabbed the zipper, looked at my friends, and they looked back like they were up to whatever I had in mind. So, I started counting down from 3. I hit 1, unzipped that tent faster than I ever have, the 3 of us jumped out, and no one was there. Now, when I said 1 and unzipped the tent, we could still see the shadows. There's no way that 1, let alone 3 people, can just disappear that fast in my yard. We would have seen and or heard them. Definitely would have seen them. We went in and slept in my room. I still occasionally talk with one of the guys that was there that night. I asked him about 5 months ago if he remembers that night. I don't think putting his exact response on here would be appropriate, but yes, he remembers. I live with my best friends and their daughter, and we've had a few strange things happen around the house. Female roommate was in the kitchen when a plastic cup fell off the top of the fridge and basically launched across the counter to land in the sink. I frequently get the house to myself on weekends, and I'm a night owl. 2 a.m. in the morning, all the lights in the house are off. I decide to go get a snack, and as I'm walking downstairs, I hear, "Peek-a-boo. I see you." From out of the darkness across the living room. It was from a toy, but I decided the snack wasn't necessary. Another time, alone, I'm getting ready for bed at 3-4 a.m., and the hallway light flicks on for no apparent reason, and my room is suddenly illuminated. Took me a bit to fall asleep after that. My father's house is located in a very rural area near a major river in our state, the Haw. It's a brawling muddy thing, not scenic, and it's named for a tribe of natives that had disappeared long before white men arrived in the area. We owned a number of acres stretching back to the river. There are woods that feel welcoming and others that don't. These did not. They still don't. We used to ride our horses back to the river, and I knew more than a deer were watching us. IDK if anyone here has ever owned horses, but they can act very much as a body shield. Their presence alone is a deterrent for some reason. But one day, a sunny nice day too, I was up on my big gelding and I was enjoying the weather, but I couldn't shake a feeling we were being watched. I kept glancing into the trees. And I saw people, but not material people, like shadows but in human form, walking en masse, flickering in and out of the trees. I've seen this many times. On foot, the ominous sensation gets unbearable. One night, I was getting my things together to go elsewhere, the oppressive sensation was off the charts. I happened to look out the window across the pasture, and at the edge of the woods, there was an old man, just standing there and staring, talking and gesturing silently to no one, but then he saw me, so I backed away from the window. I knew he wasn't real. I wanted to crawl out of my skin. Me and some of my buddies used to go to this place called Profile Rock in Freetown, Massachusetts late at night, sometimes 2 to 3 in the morning. One night during the summer, I'd go to Profile Rock with 3 of my friends at 2:30 a.m. just to mess about and explore. Now, I didn't know this at the time, but Profile Rock and the area we were in is part of an area called the Bridgewater Triangle, which is a site of alleged paranormal activities and also one of the most haunted areas in the state I live in. Continuing on, we climbed Profile Rock itself, stayed on top of it for maybe 3 to 4 hours, and we all decided to leave. Now as you're leaving Profile Rock, you have to go down this long path that's about 2 miles long to get back to where we parked our car. 2 of my friends are walking about 20 to 30 feet in front of me and my other friend. Now, I'll never know why I turned around. I didn't have a feeling like someone was watching us. I just simply turned around because besides the moonlight shining through the trees in certain areas, we only had cell phone flashlights to make our way around. I remember turning around and seeing someone running at us from about 150 feet away full speed. What threw me off wasn't that they were running at us, it was how they were running. You know how a zombie walks in a horror movie dragging one of its legs almost limping? That's how this someone was running at us. At first I didn't say anything and possibly assumed it was one of my friends or someone that was already in there who got injured and needed assistance. Until this someone made it to an area of the path where the moonlight reached through the trees and gave them some perspective. What I saw still chokes me up till this day. You ever see a child try to draw a person? How they make a stick figure most of the time. That's exactly how this someone looked. I caught maybe a 10-second glance as it was running under the moonlight-lit trees, but I saw no distinguishable facial features, no eyes, no mouth and no ears. Its arms and legs looked like that of an extremely malnourished person, only completely black, and it didn't look like skin or any type of clothing from what I could see. I almost can't even describe it to be honest, and you could blatantly tell it wasn't a mask or one of those Halloween blacked-out suits. I recall calling out to my friend in a panicked voice, who was walking with me, who was now maybe 10 feet ahead of myself. I shined my cell phone light on him as he was looking where I was just looking, and I could tell right away from his facial expression that I wasn't seeing things. It was now maybe 40 feet away from us. That's almost the same distance as our friends in front of us and me. My friend just took flight and started running. My two other friends in front of us shot around and asked us what was wrong, and I replied, "Just run." And all four of us jetted for our car. I remember taking a glance back as we were running, and there was nothing there even though whatever was chasing us would certainly be on our tails by now. We all hopped in the car, and my friend who was walking with me yells, "Dude, tell me you've seen that. What the flurbo was that?" I told him I saw the same thing. I asked him to describe to all of us what he saw, and he described literally the exact same thing I witnessed. By now, my other two friends are thinking we were joking around or messing with them. Until my friend who was walking with me swore on his father who had passed away not even a month ago that he's telling the truth. I was kind of frustrated to be honest because I couldn't believe my other two friends didn't see it as they turned around to question why we were running, but it doesn't matter now. We actually went back there with a few more people the day after and witnessed nothing of course. I'll never know what it was or who it was or what it wanted. But I know one thing, there's no way in heck two people both imagine seeing some stick figure specter in the woods. My BF and I were sitting on the couch listening to music when he said he heard me talk to him. I wasn't talking at all. So I asked him what he heard. He said it sounded like, "Why are you doing this to me?" And he felt breath on him as though it was a person. He heard it on the opposite side of where I was sitting. Not even 2 minutes later, I hear my 4-year-old daughter cry out, "Mama, come here." So I went in her room because she sounded upset. I asked her what was wrong and she said nothing. I said, "Why did you call me then?" To which she told me she didn't call me and she was just trying to sleep. We have had a lot of paranormal events happen since we moved in here, and it freaks me out that we are hearing familiar voices being mimicked. I had another night, a few weeks ago, where I was laying in bed and clear as day I heard a voice next to the bed say, "Excuse me." I opened my eyes and briefly saw it, all dark figured, it disappeared very quickly. I used to live in Indonesia before migrating to the States, and I remember this one thing that really scared me back then. I was probably 7 or 8 years old about that time, so I guess I can't blame myself if it was just my overactive mind and I was just scaring myself, but here's the story. We had a stay-at-home maid at the time, which I think is a pretty common thing there. My mom would hire some random maid and they'd live at our house and get paid until they leave for any reason. We had a couple of them over the span of me growing up, but this one maid is the reason why I'm writing this. My family loved her because she was just overall a good person and helped my mom with daily tasks a lot. One of those tasks being to wake me up for school on school days. Usually I'd wake up to her calling my name a couple of times and then I'd get ready, but this one day, I woke up to her voice, like she was having a conversation with someone, but it was just her voice. I don't know what she was saying since I just woke up, but I know she wasn't calling my name, and the thing that scared me was when I opened my eyes, I saw that she had her back turned towards me facing the wall. She kept talking to the wall until I called her, and then she turned around and acted as if I didn't just see her talk to a wall. Then she got me ready for school. When I asked her who she was talking to, she said it was nothing and that she was singing or something. I don't remember if I believed her at that time, But I do know that same night, I couldn't fall asleep because I was so scared, and it didn't help that my bed position makes me face that same wall. So I told my mom, but she was a Christian and just told me to pray and sleep. That instance only happened once, and I've never woken up to my maid talking to the wall again. Eventually that maid left because of family reasons not too long after, so my mom had to hire a new one. It wasn't even that long before that new maid left. I overheard her pleading with my mom to let her go because she was so scared living in our house. She said when she tries to sleep, she would hear whispers next to her, her door would swing open by itself sometimes when she's in the room, or she would hear someone knock her door at times where we'd all be fast asleep already. The thing that scared me the most from her experience is when we left her to guard the house alone while my family went to the market to get groceries. She said she kept hearing a lady's voice or something that sounded like my mom coming from our room upstairs while she watches TV downstairs. This reminded me of the last maid when she was talking to the wall, and this got me shaking. I don't remember sleeping with the lights off ever again after that. Even until now, I still leave the light on. Anyways, I think my mom got concerned for that maid at the time because she was hysterically crying while telling her all those stories, so she let her go back to her family. Nothing strange happened again with the maids after her, but I developed a thing where I prayed every night before I slept since I was scared. What a terrible time. I still get chills thinking about it.